Talks set to happen today, how the president is warning Iran after accusing it of violating the ceasefire, and what happens as the U.S. fires and seizes an Iranian ship. Kash Patel files a defamation lawsuit against The Atlantic after a report on alleged behavior sparks backlash. Federal agents arrest an Iranian national in Los Angeles accused of trafficking weapons for Iran. The charges and what she could face. Authorities identify the 8 children killed in yesterday's shooting in Louisiana. The shooter was the father of 7 of the victims. Voters in Virginia weigh in on a high-stakes redistricting plan backed by Governor Abigail Spanberger, a move that could dramatically shift the balance of power in Congress. Tariff refunds begin as U.S. Customs and Border Protection rolls out the first phase following a Supreme Court ruling which qualifies and who qualifies and when payments could arrive. Elon Musk summoned to Paris as French investigators probe alleged misconduct tied to X, including illegal content.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. A new round of U.S.-Iran talks is set for today as tensions escalate in the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump says Iran has violated the ceasefire, and he says he's under no pressure to make a deal. U.S. forces have also seized an Iranian vessel. Joining us now live in studio is NTD's White House correspondent, Iris Tao. Iris, good afternoon. So what is the latest?
Sure. So, John, we're now just less than 48 hours away from when the ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran is set to expire on Wednesday. And that's as Vice President J.D. Vance is set to travel to Pakistan again for a new round of peace talks. And President Trump this morning taking to Truth Social posting saying that, of course, he wants a deal to happen and that whatever deal that he comes up with Iran will be far better than what he calls the JCPOA, which is the Obama-era nuclear deal with Iran. He also adds that he's not going to let them rush the U.S. into making a deal that is not as good as it could have been, also adding that he's not under any pressure to make a deal with Iran as opposed to what he calls the fake news is reporting. He says that it will all happen relatively quickly. And it also comes as the president is saying that he's unlikely to extend that ceasefire deadline if a deal is not actually achieved in the coming hours and days. And meanwhile, the U.S. envoy to the UN, Mike Waltz, over the weekend saying that the president is prepared to escalate in order to de-escalate. Let's take a look.
The outcome of these talks will be incredibly consequential. And as the president has stated, he is prepared to escalate, to de-escalate. He is prepared to actually board and turn around Iranian ships, even as far east as the Pacific Ocean.
Meanwhile, the president also comparing the duration of past wars to right now the operation in Iran. He says, for example, World War I lasting over 4 years, World War II lasting 6 years, and the Korean War lasting 3 years. And he's making a point in saying that the operation in Iran has not been that long at all, and that, in his opinion, it will all wrap up rather quickly. Of course, all eyes are now on the upcoming peace talks. It remains to be seen, though, if the Iranians will actually come to the negotiation table.
Right, all this happening as tensions remain high in the Strait of Hormuz. So what is the latest there?
So over the weekend, the standoff really intensified in the Strait of Hormuz as the U.S. forces there really intensified the blockade by firing at and seizing an Iranian vessel that tried to breach the blockade and under a 6-hour-long warning refused to comply with the U.S. orders. And here's a footage released by Central Command showing the moment before that happened. Let's take a look.
Motor vessel Tosca, vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
So U.S. Marines later boarded that vessel and seized it. It's now under U.S. custody. Meanwhile, the IRGC has vowed to retaliate over that, while the Iranian president still is emphasizing diplomacy. So some mixed messaging there from the Iranian side. Meanwhile, Iran over the weekend also backtracked on their promise to fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And of course, that's leading to more U.S. responses, as well as President Trump accusing Iran of violating ceasefire by targeting vessels from the UK as well as from France. And also the president last night taking to Truth Social and posting that we are offering a very fair and reasonable deal. And I hope they take it, because if they don't, the U.S. is going to, quote, knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. So that's the refreshed warning from the president. Of course, all eyes on the next few hours to see if any deal comes to fruition, and if not, if the U.S. will resume its strikes on Iran.
Okay, definitely a lot happening here. Thank you for keeping us updated.
Thank you, Don.
Now, an Iranian woman accused of brokering weapons on behalf of the Iranian government arrested in L.A. Federal authorities arresting Shamim Mafi of Woodland Hills, California at Los Angeles International Airport and charging her with arms trafficking. Prosecutors say the alleged deals include drones, bombs, and ammunition manufactured by Iran and sold to Sudan. The assistant U.S. attorney says the 44-year-old became a lawful permanent U.S. resident in 2016. If convicted, she faces up to 20 years in federal prison. She is expected to make her initial court appearance today in federal court in Los Angeles. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel has yet to achieve all of its objectives against the Iranian regime. Netanyahu spoke during a Memorial Day ceremony in Jerusalem as a 2-week ceasefire is set to expire.
Our flag is planted from deep within the Gaza Strip all the way to the crown of Mount Hermon in Syria, and our pilots control the skies of the region as irrefutable proof of our superiority over the Iranian axis. We have not yet finished the task, but the world already recognizes our determination to defend ourselves. Not only to defend ourselves, but to defend humanity from barbaric fanaticism. Small Israel and our great friend, the United States, carry the entire Western civilization on their shoulders.
President Trump announced a 2-week ceasefire with Iran on April 7th. Heavy restrictions on shipping through the Strait of Hormuz have sent oil prices surging past $100 a barrel. The U.S. Navy continues to impose a blockade on Iranian ports. And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and senior officials are condemning the desecration of a Christian symbol by an Israeli soldier in southern Lebanon. A photo circulating online shows a soldier striking a crucifix with an axe. Netanyahu called the act shocking and said it goes against Israel's values, vowing the soldier will be punished. Foreign Minister Gideon Sar described the incident as disgraceful and issued an apology to Christians. The Israeli military says the case is under investigation, calling the soldier's actions inconsistent with its standards. It also says it's working to restore the damaged statue. The village is among areas affected by fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, despite a recent U.S. brokered ceasefire. A new round of peace negotiations are happening today between the U.S. and Iran. Joining us now is retired Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb, geopolitical strategist and former Black Hawk helicopter pilot and battalion commander in the U.S. Army. Colonel, good afternoon. So President Trump is saying Iran is losing about $500 million a day due to the blockade, the U.S. blockade. He said this on Truth Social. He said if Iran doesn't accept a deal, then no more Mr. Nice Guy. Do you think, what do you think here about the prospects of a good agreement emerging at the end of negotiations?
Yeah, good afternoon, Don. I remain a little bit skeptical about Iran and their willingness to actually come to the table and sign something that has teeth and has meaning, and that would direct them to take any kind of specific action as a result. Not only because they tend to operate in the world of deceit in the first place, but the second one being, who are we negotiating with? What are they signing? And do they have the ability to sign something that actually can be carried forth into Iran and everybody there would abide by it? We've seen the fractures between the IRGC and the foreign ministry there already, and that's going to probably grow a little more over time. as these different groups each are starting to kind of vie for power internally and message externally to try to tell other nations and people that they're the ones actually in charge right now. And so I think that's going to be interesting to watch how that may develop if these peace talks go through, and if something is actually agreed to, is if all the different parts of Iran, the security structure specifically, would abide by that agreement in the first place.
Okay, so Colonel, you're saying you're skeptical. Let me read you this. So Iran's president said yesterday that Iran needs to end the war with the United States. He said, quote, "We must recognize that continuing the conflict benefits no one, not us, not the other side." How would you describe the tone here, Colonel? Does it feel like a more moderate tone coming from Iran?
Well, I would say it's a more moderate tone coming from him. The question then remains, is anything that he potentially signs going to be listened to by the people who might be in the Basij, the IRGC, and the Quds Force specifically? And the Quds Force itself, of course, the most radical of those, the Basij not too far behind them. That's the question, is even if someone who is more moderate and recognizes the need to end this conflict signs off on a document, will those radical elements still in Iran decide that they're not going to follow that guidance in the first place, or are they going to go their own direction? That's a possibility that we certainly need to account for as Iran fractures into these different groups. Really, the hardliners, the moderates, and your citizens of the nation who probably would love to live in peace themselves.
Okay, so in terms of these negotiations, is there an overall overarching theme that Iran thinks ending its nuclear program will threaten its own survival? Is there a mentality of that?
Oh, I'm sure there is plenty of that. And this has been one of the things they've always wanted, was to have a nuclear program, and then they claim it's for energy. However, you don't have to have nuclear uranium enriched to greater than 5% in order to have an energy program that's nuclear in the first place. And they're enriching it up to 60% or more, which is far more than is necessary. And when you are living basically on an oil reserve, you really don't need nuclear for energy. So I think everybody could see through that, even though they're going to keep using it as a hard line, and they're going to use the Strait of Hormuz as their bargaining chip as they see it right now in the first place. So I think it's right to say they don't need a nuclear program for their people. They really don't. They've never needed it, but they want it because they want to be able to be the regional power that everybody has to deal with and threaten nations like Israel and others in the West.
Okay, so Colonel, here's what I'm thinking. At the end of the day, if Iran does not agree to U.S. terms, President Trump has made certain threats. So, I mean, having your critical infrastructure destroyed also threatens your survival. It's an immediate threat. So why not just agree to the terms? It buys you some time, even if you go back on your word in the future. Why doesn't Iran just, agree to the deal for now?
Well, they might still, and so we can't rule that out. But the second piece being that the hardliners in Iran are not going to ever want to be seen capitulating and agreeing to anything with the United States and Israel, otherwise known as the Great Satans, right? And that's really what they're looking at. Is one message is internal to their own nations that says we're not going to give up to these people, us and Israel specifically. And then, of course, their message externally telling us that they're not going to capitulate either. And there are many of them that would rather die than surrender. And a peace treaty could look like a surrender to many of them, and they're not willing to go that far. That's just how far radicalized they've become. It's a messianic religious zeal to destroy the West the best they can. And so for many of them, there is no room for surrender, and a peace deal is a form of surrender.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point there, saying that some would rather die than surrender. But let's say hypothetically, Trump right now decides to end the war. Do you think the U.S. Has achieved the objectives, including, of course, preventing Iran from having a nuclear weapon for years to come? Has the U.S. achieved that so far?
I think by and large that has been achieved. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the retrieval of the uranium or even the nuclear dust in Iran is not necessary. I'll just leave that buried and then continue with the threat that if we see you trying to access it, we're just going to bomb it again. negates the idea that we can continue a broader war, but make sure that we take away those things that would remain a threat to the greater region around them. That's certainly a possibility, because we know that Iran, once it strikes a deal, is probably not going to follow with it in line with it, probably immediately.
Okay, so another objective was to prevent Iran from projecting its terrorism beyond its own borders. Do you think this operation has weakened Iran's proxy network?
No doubt. Between what we've done and what Israel has done, and you put all the pieces together, you see sort of the rollback of a lot of their global reach. It starts in Venezuela, it goes to the islands north of Venezuela where Hezbollah has been operating. It removes a lot of the Chinese support to Iran, and Iran is a Chinese proxy vassal state, essentially. By the time you put together access to critical trade routes that runs everywhere from Cuba through Panama, through the South Pacific, in both Suez and Hormuz, you're starting to greatly impact the funding stream that helps Iran be propped up, and it helps by impacting the funding stream of those nations who help keep Iran going.
Okay, just one final thing here, Colonel. Tell me if I got this correct. If we end the war right now, Iran, the Iranian regime would still be set back years from where it was before this war started.
Absolutely, yeah, and specifically militarily, of course. But there are other impacts they've had diplomatically. They've made enemies of nations in the Gulf states that may have been on the fence before. Economically, $500 million a day is a hard amount to overcome for a nation that doesn't make much more than that when it comes to oil revenue. And that is what they predominantly got. So I think regardless, our objectives have largely been achieved because Iran is no longer able to project itself throughout the Middle East and Asia the way it was once before. And it would take years from this point, given the conditions moving forward, to get back anywhere close to what they were before.
All right, our objectives are largely achieved. Colonel, thank you for talking with us.
Thanks, Doug.
Still ahead, Kash Patel takes legal action against The Atlantic over a report on his conduct, the allegations and response, and what's at stake. Stay with us for more after this break in just a moment.
Is deep-sea fish oil really healthy? Due to pollution in the oceans, most fish contain heavy metal elements and radioactive substances. That's why it's so important to choose a pure source of omega-3. Puritan green vegetable omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds, which are rich in nutrients and minerals. It effectively improves brain power and is beneficial to the heart's health. Puritan green vegetable omega-3. Eat 2 a day and you'll feel brand new.
I'm Amy Grant, and I want to talk to you from my heart about the heart. I would have been the last person on the list to say this woman has a problem with her heart. So no, there was nothing about my life that said, you have a ticking time bomb in your chest. But I did. I wound up in the office of a cardiologist because I was there with my husband. And at the tail end of that, the cardiologist looked at me and said, I want to see you. No one was more surprised than I was to learn I was living with a rare heart condition. He said, Amy, this condition, you'll be fine, and then catastrophic. A few months later, I had open heart surgery that saved my life. And I owe it to the research and life-saving medical breakthroughs developed by the American Heart Association. That's why I'm asking you to join me and become a monthly donor to the American Heart Association. Please call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help fund the next medical breakthrough, get the next person trained in CPR, and get the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care. If this could happen to me, it could happen to anybody. Heart disease is America's #1 killer, but your support can save your life or the life of someone you love. Give $19 a month with your credit card and we'll send you this special t-shirt you can wear to show you're part of a community of monthly donors working to help save more lives like mine. I'm grateful for the American Heart Association. Their research gave me more time to do the things I love with the people I love. So listen to your heart. I'm here today because I did. Please call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org now to become a monthly donor and help save even more lives. Thank you.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Meanwhile, FBI Director Kash Patel is suing The Atlantic and one of its reporters for defamation. The lawsuit comes after the publication ran a story alleging the director has a drinking problem, which could pose a threat to national security. Atlantic staff writer Sarah Fitzpatrick wrote the article initially entitled "Kash Patel's Erratic Behavior Could Cost Him His Job." The Atlantic revised the title to "The FBI Director is MIA" in its online version. Her report cited more than 24 anonymous sources claiming the FBI had to reschedule early meetings due to the director's alleged drinking. The article goes on to claim that Patel, quote, is often away or unreachable, delaying time-sensitive decisions needed to advance investigations. The White House, the Justice Department, and Patel denied the allegations. Fitzpatrick included those denials in the report. The Supreme Court today agreeing to take on a case out of Colorado. It involves a law that requires taxpayer-funded preschools to accept children of same-sex couples. After years of allowing some religious schools to receive state funding alongside public schools, the Supreme Court is now taking up a new question. What happens when school leaders say anti-discrimination laws conflict with their religious beliefs? Colorado created a universal preschool program in 2020. Funded by the state, it allows both public and private schools to participate. But if they take the public funding, they must follow a non-discrimination rule that requires enrollment of all eligible children regardless of race, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, or other factors. The case, brought by Catholic parishes, is expected to be heard this fall, with the decision likely sometime next year. Virginia voters are headed to the polls for a high-stakes referendum that could reshape the state's congressional map. The redistricting plan is backed by Governor Abigail Spanberger and the state's Democratic leadership. It would significantly favor Democrats, potentially shifting the delegation from 5 Republican seats out of 11 to as many as 10 Democratic seats. The amendment will remain in effect until 2030, when districting would return to an independent process. If approved, the map could take effect as early as November, pending ongoing court challenges. Supporters say a response to partisan redistricting efforts elsewhere. Critics argue it would weaken representation for Republican voters. Mayor Zohran Mamdani is planning city-run grocery stores at several locations across New York City. The goal is making essential food items more affordable, but critics say the plan creates unfair competition for local supermarkets. NTD's Niku Bani takes a closer look at the debate.
Stores where prices are fair, where workers are treated with dignity, and where New Yorkers can actually afford to shop. At our stores, eggs will be cheaper. Bread will be cheaper. Grocery shopping will no longer be an unsolvable equation.
Mayor Zohran Mamdani aiming to lower prices of some essential goods in new taxpayer-funded grocery stores.
My taxes is going back to helping people that are less fortunate to actually eat food. I'm totally down for it, you know what I mean?
I'd want to know what the tax effect of the program would be. Not that it shouldn't cost anything, but again, it has to be a good cost-to-benefit ratio.
Building one store in each borough by 2029, costs are projected at $70 million. The first location in East Harlem, measuring at 90,000 square feet, the size of an average grocery store, and costing around $30 million. Right by La Marqueta is a city-owned vacant lot where Mayor Mamdani plans to open his city-run grocery store by the end of 2027. Now, this is actually a special spot because La Marqueta was opened in 1936 by Mayor LaGuardia to have food vendors come together and sell their goods at a lower cost.
Any way we could just trim some keep some money in our pockets and trim costs is a win, especially we all need to eat. So
I don't see it as a long-term solution. I see it as a probably not so great idea.
Who's going to provide that cheaper groceries?
The city covering construction and ownership, while a private operator would handle day-to-day operations, and the stores not needing to pay rent or property taxes. This model raising concerns about fairness for local grocers.
If it's right next door to a bunch of other stores, certainly a discussion.
The competition is going to be tight, yeah.
Anthony Pena, president of the National Supermarket Association, speaking for the independent grocery stores he represents.
The stores in the neighborhood, they feel like, wait a minute, I've been here for 20 years. I never have asked the government for anything. I haven't even, no benefits, no grants, nothing. And pay taxes higher, and then that same tax money that I'm paying out is going to be used to compete against me.
Pena commenting on what he says is a higher than average cost for a grocery store, saying there are better places to put the money that don't overlook the businesses already there.
You already have an infrastructure. You already have community supermarkets in the area. You already have the network. You have the experience. Why would you gamble with that? So, yeah.
With 5 stores in the entire city, critics also raising concerns about overcrowding. Fernando Mateo with United Bodegas of America telling local ABC News, it's going to be more turmoil than anything else. It's a great punchline for him and for the socialist movement, but New York is not a socialist city. But even with the concerns, Pena has faith in his community.
Although I feel very confident in the independent market and the spirit and how they know their neighborhoods, and they're so entrenched in their neighborhoods, that I don't see an immediate disadvantage, because we are neighborhoods. The city can be the city, but we live and breathe our neighborhoods.
Now the plan still needing approval from City Council before moving forward. Nikubani, NTD News.
Authorities have identified the 8 children killed in yesterday's shooting in Shreveport, Louisiana. Local officials reacting to the tragedy this afternoon after investigators determined the shooter was the father of 7 of the victims.
That I want you to understand that domestic violence is nobody's joke. It is real, and these are the residual effects of what happens if we're not paying attention. And it is a concerted, collaborative effort for us all to make. And you have to be intentional about that, because we are faced with a devastating tragedy in this city at this point in time.
The shooter has been identified as Shamar Elkins. In addition to the 8 victims, the Shreveport Police Department said Elkins actually critically wounded his wife and another woman. Police fatally shot Elkins after a vehicle pursuit. A relative of a woman shot in the attack said Elkins and his wife were separating and had been due in court today. She said the couple had been arguing about the separation before the shooting. Federal officials and lawmakers are investigating cases of 11 scientists who were either killed, died, or went missing. They all worked for the government and had access to nuclear or aerospace material. NTD's Melina Weiskamp has the details.
11 scientists with high-profile clearances have vanished or died since 2022, with an uptick in cases seen within the past year. President Trump said we'll know whether the cases were random or coordinated in the next week and a half.
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left the meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff, but we're going to be hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, whatever you want to call it, but some of them were very important people.
One of the highest profile cases involves a retired U.S. Air Force General, William Neal McCasland. He went missing from his Albuquerque home in February. He previously served as the head of research at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. A rocket scientist who worked with him, Monica Reza, is also missing, last seen hiking June of 2025. 2 other scientists were shot to death. Astrophysicist Carl Gromeyer from Caltech killed in February, and nuclear physicist Nuno Loureiro killed last December. Most recently, the body of Novartis researcher Jason Thomas was found in a Massachusetts lake after he disappeared December 12, 2025. Here's what FBI Director Kash Patel had to say about the Bureau's probe into the deaths.
We're working most importantly with our state and local partners who have the jurisdiction on each of these cases, whether they be a homicide or a missing persons case. They have the evidence. So what we're going to do is collectively pull it all into one place. We started this process last week, and then we're going to look for connections, like you said.
Late scientist Amy Eskridge died June 11th, 2022 in Huntsville, Alabama. It was reported as a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Eskridge worked on anti-gravity research and previously warned about harassment and threats.
We discovered anti-gravity and our lives went to and people started sabotaging us, and it's a harassment, threat. It's awful. This has been going on for 4 or 5 years. And over the past 12 months, it's been escalating, more aggressive, more invasive. Digging through my
Congress is getting involved. The House Oversight Committee is investigating the string of scientist deaths and missing person cases.
We're very concerned about this. This is a national security concern. This would suggest that something sinister may be happening. So we want to see what we can do. And hopefully
Chairman James Comer said hopefully they'll bring attention to this, and anyone with information out there will contact Congress. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
Customs and Border Protection begins the first phase of tariff refunds today. The move follows a Supreme Court ruling in February. That decision found the International Emergency Economic Powers Act does not clearly authorize the president to impose tariffs. CBP says the first phase of refunds will apply to a limited set of recent tariff payments. The agency says refunds will be processed through a centralized system rather than case by case. Most payments are expected within 60 to 90 days once claims are approved. Officials say there is a large volume of claims involving tens of millions of entries and over $160 billion in deposits. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is exploring new legal and policy options. U.S. Southern Command carries out another deadly strike in the Caribbean targeting drug trafficking routes. What do officials say about the growing operation? After this break, we have more.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS, the better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-701-6159. That's 1-800-701-6159.
What if kids in America didn't have to go to bed hungry tonight? What if our moms, dads, and grandparents could put healthy food on the table every day to help us grow strong? What if all of our friends and neighbors had fresh food too, and there was no hunger at all in America? And what if there was a way today for you to help? Call now or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. So many of us don't have enough food to eat, but your monthly gift means families across the country and in your community can fill plates with food. Kids can get healthy meals year-round, even when school's out, and our neighbors can have fresh food. Food that moms, dads, entire families need to thrive. But right now, more people are facing hunger. Feeding America works from coast to coast with partner food banks, food pantries, and meal programs. It takes all of us to make that happen. Will you help too? Please call the number on your screen or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give just $19 a month. And we'll send you this free canvas grocery bag. It's our way of saying thank you for helping to end hunger for our neighbors. Because no kid no mom or dad. Nobody should go hungry in America. Nobody. So what if today was the day you could help nourish futures for our friends, our families, for all of us? Ending hunger is possible. What if we end it together? Call or give online today at helpfeedingamerica.org and your gift can be doubled. Thank you.
The U.S. military giving an update on the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. Central Command posting on X today saying that since the beginning of the blockade, U.S. forces have directed 27 vessels to turn around or return to an Iranian port. CENTCOM also releasing a video showcasing the broadcast message instructing the vessel to turn back. Take a look.
United States warship 115. You are entering the area of a military blockade. This blockade of Iranian ports will be enforced and applies to all vessels regardless of flag. Any vessel that further intends to enter or exit an Iranian port will be subject to the right of visit and search in accordance with international law. If you attempt to run the blockade, we will compel compliance with force. Over.
Energy Secretary Chris Wright says Americans could be paying over $3 a gallon through the rest of the year and maybe even into 2027. He also said higher prices are a necessary sacrifice at this moment, but that the prices are still lower than during the Biden administration. He mentioned that Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz before, and that's one reason why regime change in Iran is necessary. He said this time the U.S. has enough leverage and power to deal with any potential future Hormuz blockades.
Prices have likely peaked and they'll start going down. Certainly with a resolution of this conflict, you'll see prices go down. Prices across the board on energy prices will go down.
But it might not be under $3 a gallon until 2027.
Under $3 a gallon is pretty tremendous in an inflation-adjusted terms. We had that in the Trump administration, but we hadn't seen that in inflation-adjusted term for quite a long time. We'll get back there for sure. Putting this 47-year conflict to an end and preventing Iran from getting nuclear weapons, of course, has come with short-term disruption. I think we've managed it fantastically, though. Here we are in the middle of the largest interruption in flow of energy ever, and gasoline prices peaked a week ago, about $1 below the peak during the Biden administration, and that was just a Biden administration attack on the oil and gas industry.
Oil prices are up about 4% today at around $87, but remain well below the high points of $111 reached so far in the war. U.S. stocks are pulling back slightly after a record-breaking rally. The S&P 500 is down by 0.3%. The Nasdaq is off 0.3%, nearly 0.4%, and the Dow dropping 0.16% as investors weigh the latest escalation in the Middle East. In Mexico, 2 U.S. embassy personnel are dead following what officials are calling an accident. Authorities say the victims were among a group of U.S. and Mexican officials returning from a major anti-drug operation. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said today she wants explanations about the incident. She added she had been unaware of collaboration between the U.S. and the local government in northern Chihuahua. Mexican authorities said the team had just taken part in dismantling multiple clandestine drug labs in the state of Chihuahua after a months-long investigation. The crash reportedly happened on a highway as the group was heading back from the operation. The director of the state investigation agency and another officer were also killed. Officials say the operation targeted large-scale synthetic drug production, including methamphetamine. Details about the cause of the accident remain unclear. The ambassador called the accident a reminder of the risks faced by those working to combat organized crime. The military says it carried out another lethal strike targeting a vessel tied to narco-trafficking in the Caribbean. Southern Command says 3 narco-terrorists were killed in yesterday's strike. The operation is part of Operation Southern Spear, targeting known drug trafficking routes. Additional strikes earlier this month targeting vessels in the Eastern Pacific. Last week, CENTCOM, or rather Southcom, says it conducted 3 operations killing 9 narco-terrorists. That's in addition to strikes the weeks before that killed 5. No U.S. service members were harmed in any of the operations. Thousands of U.S. and Philippine troops are taking part in major combat drills across the Philippines, near the disputed South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. The exercises involve nearly 10,000 U.S. forces.
Regardless of the challenges elsewhere in the world, The United States' focus on the Indo-Pacific and our ironclad commitment to the Philippines remains unwavering.
They will include nearly 3 weeks of live fire drills and simulated combat operations. U.S. officials say the deployment underscores Washington's firm and unwavering commitment to the Indo-Pacific. China has strongly opposed the exercises, saying they're aimed at containing its rise. Manila and Washington say the drills are defensive and focused on preparedness and disaster response. The Philippine military says the exercises are meant to build deterrence and stability amid regional tensions and competing territorial claims. Meanwhile, Taiwan says a Chinese aircraft carrier passed through the Taiwan Strait, with its forces tracking the vessel throughout its transit. An Indonesian fisherman found a Chinese underwater drone in the Lombok Strait recently. Analysts believe it's part of Beijing's broader system to monitor the critical waterway. This comes as China's growing undersea activities are raising concerns. NTD's Flora Hua has the story.
Last week, an Indonesian fisherman found a large torpedo-shaped device near the Strait of Lombok, a key waterway of naval and trade activities. The device is marked with the letters CSIC, short for China Shipbuilding Industry Corporation, and its logo. A maritime defense analyst believes the device is part of China's undersea monitoring network and belongs to the Chinese 710 Research Institute. The research institute is under CSIC and focuses on underwater attack and defense. And the location is also highly sensitive. The Lombok Strait sits between two islands of Indonesia. The waterway has great value to Australia and the United States and other U.S. allies. It's commonly seen as an alternative for the Strait of Malacca, one of the busiest waterways in the world. Some analysts believe the drone was used for China's seabed mapping operations. The deep water strait is especially attractive to Beijing for its nuclear-powered submarines and other large warships. Analysts and scholars warn Beijing's unauthorized undersea activities raise serious concerns, especially when the countries involved have limited underwater defense capabilities compared to China. Indonesia says it will continue the investigation, but the country chose to use quiet diplomacy to respond to a similar incident in 2020. China is Indonesia's largest trading partner. Flora Hua, NTD News.
Now to Japan, where authorities are urging residents to avoid coastal areas following a 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi urging residents to remain vigilant after officials downgraded a tsunami warning to an advisory.
In areas under a tsunami warning, please evacuate to higher ground or designated evacuation buildings, any safe elevated location, and pay close attention to tsunami-related information. Please do not leave your safe location until the warning is lifted.
A government spokesperson said there were no immediate reports of fatalities or major damage. Authorities say the earthquake's epicenter was off to the country's east coast, measuring at over 12 miles deep. Public broadcaster NHK said several port towns had issued evacuation orders. Bullet train services were suspended and some roadways were closed due to the tremors. Officials also issued an advisory for an increased risk of a possible mega quake after the initial tremors. That's an earthquake with a magnitude of higher than 8. Pakistan's Interior Minister met today with the U.S. Chargé d'Affaires, Natalie Baker. The meeting took place at the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad. Talks focused on strengthening ties and upcoming meetings in Islamabad. Officials say preparations continue for a second round of talks between the U.S. and Iran. No exact start date for the talks were given in the statement. The minister briefed Baker on security arrangements for visiting delegations. He said Pakistan made comprehensive security arrangements for its guests. Baker expressed appreciation for Pakistan's role in easing regional tensions. The president of Argentina says his country stands with the United States and Israel in their war against the Iranian regime. President Milei made the comments during a visit to Jerusalem yesterday, where he met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
We made Argentina the first South American country to chair the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. We express our firm support for the United States and Israel in their war against terrorism and against the Iranian regime. not only because it is the right thing to do, but because our countries are bound by shared pain. Argentina was the victim of the cowardly terrorist attacks on the AMIA and the Israeli embassy, both of them instigated by the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Milei also pointing out that Argentina has classified Hamas, Iran's Revolutionary Guard, and branches of the Muslim Brotherhood as terrorist organizations. He also reiterated plans to move Argentina's embassy to Jerusalem when conditions allow, calling the step both necessary and justified. The visit marks Milei's third trip to Israel since taking office. Elon Musk called to Paris for questioning in a probe into X. What's being investigated and Musk's response after this break? Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Jane Seymour, and I spent years on TV playing a doctor. But I learned about the heartbreaking reality of heart disease and stroke when they touched my own life. My father nearly died before having a quadruple bypass and valve replacement that saved him. And my mom, who was my inspiration, suffered a stroke that took away her speech, her ability to move, and ultimately her life. To see someone so vibrant, so positive, who'd survived so much in life, be debilitated by a stroke, it was devastating. And also a wake-up call. And that's why I'm so passionate about supporting the American Heart Association. They're doing more every day to stop needless deaths. But they simply can't do their life-saving work without you. So please call now or go to helpheart.org. And for only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, your donation will go to work to do amazing things. Like fund the next medical breakthrough, get the next person trained in CPR, and the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care. I hope that you'll open your heart right now and join me. Please call now or go to helpheart.org. Give $19 a month and we'll send you this special t-shirt that you can proudly wear to show that you're part of a community of monthly donors who are helping save lives. A healthy heart, it's the spirit of life. It makes it possible to do the things that you love, to spend time with your friends and family and fulfill your life's dreams. But so many won't have that chance. Heart disease is America's #1 killer and the #1 killer of women. And that's why I'll do whatever I can to make sure others don't die from heart disease before their time. So please join me.
Please call or go online to helpheart.org, become a monthly donor, and for a limited time only, your first month's gift will be matched.
Tired of struggling with that heavy leaf blower? Introducing the Bullseye Power Blower. It delivers a massive blowing force, and yet it's so compact and lightweight. Just lock and load the rechargeable battery for long-lasting runtime. The secret is the compact turbocharged motor with jet burst technology that blasts out 21,000 RPMs of airflow. Watch this. The sheer force propels this woman across the pool. Look, use Bullseye to blow up a huge jump house. Now that's power. Even blows snow right off your vehicle in no time. Turbo clean your porch in a flash or tidy up your dirty garage floor in seconds. Get it today for just $99.99. But wait, act now and get a $20 discount. So it's only $79.99. Plus, you'll get the adjustable extension tube. Yours free. And it all comes with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-209-2313 or go to bullseyeblower.com. That's 1-800-209-2313 or order online at bullseyeblower.com. Order now.
Elon Musk has been summoned to Paris for voluntary interviews. The move comes as French investigators examine alleged misconduct linked to his social media platform X. The probe includes claims involving illegal content and deepfakes. Former X CEO Linda Yaccarino has also been invited to take part. French authorities say the interviews are part of a broader effort to ensure compliance. Musk has pushed back on aspects of the investigation, welcoming reports that U.S. officials declined to assist French authorities. Musk calling the situation something that needs to stop. The inquiry follows a search of X's French offices earlier this year and remains ongoing, with additional employees expected to be heard as witnesses. A new club in Amsterdam is helping people step away from their screens. Attendees participate in a variety of offline activities, alone and with each other, in an effort to reconnect to the real world. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the details.
This is your number.
Thank you.
You'll need to check your phone at the door. Around 200 people are attending a 2-hour creative session at this former church in Amsterdam. An organization dubbed the Offline Club is hosting the event, structured around different themes.
One of them is connecting with yourself through creative activities or reading or writing or puzzling. So really something that makes you slow down and reflect, go inward.
But the club isn't just about self-reflection. It's about making social connections in real life instead of online.
And then also more connection-focused events where you talk to others, you play board games, you go on offline walks in nature, for example, and meet people in a dynamic and natural way.
The meetups give participants a break from the digital grind.
I think, it's nice to like touch that pen and paper, like that physical element. It just grounds you, I think.
Breaking dependence on digital dopamine can be tough. That's by design.
And those apps are developed to have you sort of stay as long as possible, right? By having short-term rewards, right? So I move to the next image and oh, that's nice. And then you have a 10-second reward rush. And then, oh, but what's the next image? And then it really works by sort of having you cling on to this app.
Nicola Cloherty says the experience reminds her of what life was like before the ubiquity of screens.
Being like nearly 42 and having had both sides of technology and device life, then not, this just returns me to a simpler way of being and the joys that I experienced as a kid.
Artist Brian Hermerlane describes his need for a digital break.
Yeah, I think it's important to disconnect. For me personally, I find myself being quite often on the internet, but also scrolling. So these kind of activities is allowing me to really understand what it means to be present.
Marketing specialist Penny Steinbeek appreciates the social aspect.
What I just really love is that you can kind of unwind, but also with other people. So when you're at home, it's just by yourself and you're like, okay, I cannot use my phone right now, or I should just chill. And then it's a bit harder than when you actually, go someplace like.
Founded by students in 2024, the Offline Club has expanded across Europe. The group organizes sessions in 18 cities for those looking to break away from their screens. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
Madison Avenue in Manhattan was once again filled with the vibrant colors of green, white, and red. The traditional Persian Day Parade celebrates Iranian culture and heritage. NTD's John Marshall has more from yesterday's events.
The Persian Day Parade in New York City is a celebration of the rich history, heritage, and culture of the Iranian people.
We wish for a free Iran sometime soon.
Traditional symbols, including the historic lion and sun emblem, are displayed as expressions of cultural identity and historical pride.
We gathered here. We are part of the Iranian community in New York, and we gathered here to be the voice of the people in Iran, to promote our leader, King Reza Pahlavi, alternative for Iran, Reza Pahlavi. We are here, voice of the people, and they're trying to silence us here. As you see, you could check it out right now. The cops are trying to silence us, but we are here. We never stop. We go forward, and victory is ours.
This year's parade is dedicated to the Iranian people who sacrificed their lives or freedom for democracy, dignity, and a better future, and to all those who have lost their loves in the ongoing conflict.
Well, we're visiting. We are happy with what's taking place, but we are unfortunately so many people got injured during the protests. So our foundation is contributing for all the victims who've been injured in the past 2 months. So, but overall, we are hoping for the better future. No more Islamic Republic, end of the Islamic Republic. And so we're hoping that millions of Iranians can go back to their homelands after 47 years.
The parade is held by the Persian Parade Foundation and wishes to honor the sacrifices of those who have suffered and ensure that their voices are not forgotten. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
America's 250th birthday is fast approaching, and some of the focus is coming from Britain. London's National Maritime Museum is set to display 2 historical documents that may be the earliest British reports of American independence.
So we've got 2 items. The first one is a handwritten copy of the Declaration of Independence, which hopefully everyone is familiar with the date of the 4th of July. So it is dated the 4th of July. The second one is the covering letter that sent it to the UK, and that is dated for the 10th of July. So when the Declaration of Independence was signed, they printed multiple copies as well to be distributed around for people. One of those made its way up from Philadelphia to New York. The British fleet was stationed in New York, and a copy made it out to the fleet. They made a handwritten copy of it and sent it with this covering letter on the 10th of July.
A vice admiral in the Royal Navy sent the handwritten copy and cover letter to John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich. Visitors at London's National Maritime Museum will be able to view these 2 pieces of history until late September. The International Kite Festival kicked off over the weekend for its 39th year. Hundreds of participants are expected from all over the world for the week-long event on the French Atlantic coast. They'll be flying hundreds of kites throughout the week on the windy beaches. Everything from whales, sharks, and seagulls to popular characters like Buzz Lightyear will fill the skies. Spectators will also be able to watch the World Kite Cup, where 11 teams from all over the world will compete in individual, duo, and team programs. The annual event draws huge crowds. Back in 2022, the festival attracted a record 800,000 people. The Mexican president is demanding explanations after 4 U.S. embassy and Mexican officials died in an accident over the weekend. More news in just a moment. Don't go away.
At Mathis Home, we have your style in stock now during the Spring Style event. Whatever you're looking for, we have what you need for your perfect bedroom. This plush queen upholstered bed is a great example. It's a hot buy at just $5.99. From traditional to modern or anywhere in between, we can help you find the matching pieces and accessories to fit your own personal style, all at great values. Come find the look that's right for you during the Spring Style event at Mathis Home.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
They're just young people, hungry, homeless, and vulnerable. Abused youth often feel safer on the street. Now, more than ever, that's the most dangerous place of all. Covenant House is helping young adults facing homelessness. We're providing safe shelter to thousands, but the need is overwhelming, and no young person is ever turned away. Please call or go online now with your gift of $19 a month to help a young person. You'll provide safe shelter, hot meals, and medical care. Your gift will show them they're loved. Homeless young people are afraid and alone with nowhere else to turn.
You want to know that there's somewhere you can go that's safe. So the Covenant House did that for us.
Please call now with your gift of $19 a month. We'll send you this blanket as a reminder of the comfort your gift provides a young person tonight. Please don't wait. Your gift is the lifeline a young person needs now. Call the number on your screen or go online to safeplacetosleep.org. Thank you for saving precious lives.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.